Well, it looks like the police are now being played too. We are all getting played by Lidia Thorpe, that race-baiting senator who quit the Greens this month for still not being radical enough. And it's clear we're being played when you see what she did at the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras on Saturday, especially to the police afterwards. I'll show you in a second. And for me, the question is, why wasn't she charged? And why is she still in Parliament? Is it because she's once again playing that race card for all it's worth, and that the people, the authorities who should know better, are too scared to call her out? Now, I showed you last week Thorpe playing that race card against the left-wing ABC journalist Patricia Karvelas, terrorising her into near silence with the horrible thought that Karvelas might actually be a racist for supporting The Voice, which is so progressive. The Voice being, of course, Labor's kind of Aboriginal-only parliament. When Thorpe is saying, no, 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 I demand sovereignty first. She wants the whole goanna.
The white progressives don't want to hear. And that's part of the problem. That's systemic racism right there.
Okay, that was funny, and I won't go through the whole exchange again, hilarious though it was. But what happened on Saturday was a lot more serious, and it shows exactly the big danger with Labor's Voice. In fact, Lidia Thorpe is a living, screaming and threatening example of how we're going to be divided if we go down this track. So there she was on Saturday at the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras, ready to march, although already hijacking the event with her own politics. No pride in genocide, spreading the lie, of course, that Australia did commit genocide. Why don't people call her out on that? But she didn't stop there. Wait, some context before I get to the video. If you were a gay activist, this march on Saturday was probably the ultimate triumph of the gay and lesbian movement in Australia. I mean, you even had the Prime Minister marching for the first time. You had a police marching, you had the entire state bureaucracy seemed to be behind the movement. Plus, of course, the whole thing was broadcast across the country on the ABC. So this was a moment when so many people could unite behind the cause. They could find a community there, make a community there, you know, gay rights, acceptance and all that. They could say, look what we've all done, all together as one. Except race politics, particularly Lidia Thorpe's, doesn't allow that. It must always come first. Race is above everything, above every other cause, above even uniting behind Australia. Race first. It divides us. And there was Thorpe suddenly lying in front of a float after shouting, we're told, F the police. I've obviously censored that. But then look what she did when she did finally get up. She walked menacingly to an officer, finger pointing right in their face, forcing that officer to walk back several steps. Clearly, Thorpe wanted a confrontation. And the officer must have felt intimidated walking backwards, and then with apparent fear, pushed Thorpe away. And bingo! Thorpe finally got a little of what she wanted for the cameras. Big drama, arms out. What? Look what she did to me. What police brutality? Now remember, this was not something out of character, heat of the moment. That's not really the Lidia I know. Something like that lift out that the News Corp papers ran all around the country from the National Digital Times. Look, Lidia Thorpe, oh, she's a lovely person. She's so kind and loving and sweet and oh my God. It was not out of character. Thorpe has form. Here she is abusing Victorian police, many of them women, at a protest in Victoria.
Criminals! What? You are the only criminals on this land!
So, looking at what she did on Saturday, it's already a disgrace for any senator or member of parliament, lawmakers of this country, to abuse and threaten the people we pay to uphold those laws that they help pass. Now, if it was a white politician doing what you just saw, a right-winger abusing police, wow. And I would be the first to say, throw the book at them. But my question is, why wasn't Thorpe charged? Now, look at that footage again. The police officer clearly feeling threatened and then having to push Thorpe away, retreating and then pushing her away. And let me read you the law. Now, in New South Wales, any person who assaults, stalks, harasses or intimidates a police officer is guilty of a criminal offence. Maximum sentence, 5 years jail. What you saw there looked like intimidation to me. So why did police today confirm, no, we're not going to charge Lidia Thorpe? Is it the race card? If Thorpe wasn't a far-left black extremist, ignore the fact that her father is actually white, if Thorpe wasn't a far-left black extremist, but instead a far-right white one, I suspect she would have been charged. And deciding not to charge her actually was a very important decision by New South Wales Police, because if they had, Thorpe could have been booted out of Parliament, certainly if she'd been found guilty. Again, let me read you the relevant law. A federal politician is disqualified from Parliament if they're being convicted and or under sentence or subject to be sentenced for any offence punishable under the law of the Commonwealth or of a state by imprisonment for 1 year or longer. Now remember, assaulting or intimidating police is punishable with a 5-year sentence. Thorpe's seat would have been in jeopardy. Now, if the New South Wales Police had, in my opinion, done their duty on Saturday, Thorpe would have been charged and perhaps on the road to expulsion from our Parliament. The fact that she wasn't, I ask again, is the race card. And yes, I know, it is a serious business, removing an elected politician. That is very serious. I'm not for that normally. But I have to say, Thorpe was already lucky to be allowed to stay in Parliament after making a mockery of her oath of allegiance to the Queen. She clearly didn't mean it. And she was lucky not to be censured as well for tweeting Happy New Year when the doors of Old Parliament House were burned by black activists. She was lucky not to be censured for not telling Parliament that she was going out with the former leader of an outlaw biker gang while on a joint parliamentary law enforcement committee that was considering things like police operations against bikie gangs. And she was lucky not to be pinged for contempt when she posted this jeering picture after being cleared by Parliament, saying, catching up with old mates. That was a real up yours. So what's it going to take to make politicians and police take Thorpe seriously? Her and her toxic race politics, a politics that she uses to divide Australia, to abuse and intimidate police, to mock our head of state, to disrupt even the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras. And she, like the Voice, is a symbol of the race politics that puts race above every other characteristic that we have and every other loyalty that could in fact bind us. And she, of course, uses it to, it seems to me, set us at war with each other.
This is a war!
Again, a senator calling for war, a civil war, a race war in this country, in our streets, and she's still in Parliament. I say to other politicians there and the police and all the other authorities, you've got to take her seriously. Take her seriously. Why wasn't she charged for what she did to police on Saturday? Was it the race card? Really?